Hey everybody, it's your boy 2 Joe back from Midwest FurFest or Midwest Fuckfest for all you cool kids out there. For those that don't know, it's a fairly enjoyable little furry convention taking place in Rosemont in the city of Chicago, Illinois. Hosted graciously at the Hyatt Regency Hotel for the past several years now. Attendance this year shot past 8,700 people last I checked, and walking around the con floor, you definitely believe it. That's a lot for a furry convention, by the way. So I happened to be on the scene and took upon myself to shoot some footage like I did back at BLFC, which I've collated, doctored up, and spliced together for the purposes of this video. However, I wanted to take a few minutes to go over the pictures and talk about this year's con experience. So, as far as personal enjoyment goes, I had an amazing time here at this MFF. I mean, maybe I didn't do as much as I could have done, but I've also been told, and I also saw some of it myself, but there have been various allusions to the fact that this con was in a perpetual state of chaos, like from the start of registration. Some things definitely got out of hand, like how there was a fox masquerading as a service dog. There was like 20 ambulance visits that I'm aware of. Registration took something like a day and a half. There was a Nazi fur that went off the deep end, getting arrested and thrown out. Lewd sexual behavior occurring in public spaces on the con floor. An extraordinary amount of people everywhere you went, and someone caught hanging off the balcony, prank calls to local businesses, i.e., a wooing over the phone, and a very high police presence at all times. Yep, that sounds like a furry con and a half these days, and it made my con experience all the better for it. I guess I'm just going to mention what comes to mind off the top of my head. So everything that I mentioned up to this point, you would not believe the amount of drama that's generated over Twitter and all other forms of social media. And I mean, like, I had a fantastic time, but apparently some other people, well, they just got a gripe about something. Granted, I'm the same kind of person that had a great time in spite of Chlorine Con happening, with all due respect to the 20 or so people that got sent to the hospital that night. But, all this barely phases me at this point. Drama is just part and parcel to life in the furry fandom. Moving on. So yeah, the one thing you sort of noticed this year, if you rolled in anytime between Thursday and Friday, is there was a line. Guess how long it took to stand in line to get your badge? Anywhere between 1 to 3 hours, give or take. And for a con this size, that's pretty atrocious. I mean, hell, I've been to Otakon back in Baltimore. 35,000 people. It never took me like so long to get my badge. And here at MFF, obviously 8,700 people. That's quite a lot for a furry convention, but that is atrocious. Like on a 3:30 in the afternoon on a Friday. Yeah, not exactly efficiently run, to say the least. I mean, granted, somebody told me they referenced the fact that MFF was starting a different registration system this year, so I guess there's some leeway there. Also, con staff was largely comprised of volunteers, it seemed like, and they didn't know what to do most of the time, and I'm not faulting them. Again, I'm not blaming anybody for this. I know they do it out of the goodness of their own hearts, but at the same time, it really kind of showed to me that, like, I don't know, there were some problems, to say the least. As in, if this was a trial by fire, it definitely showed. And it definitely showed in the conduct of some of the people that were acting as con staff. And maybe one of these days I should sign up and just volunteer and see what it's like, so I can, get a sort of sense of empathy for what they have to go through. But for me, maybe things weren't as. I'm just going to try to be as polite as possible here. Things weren't quite as organized as well as they could have been. Okay, there. I'll leave it at that. Not going to get into too much bile or anything like that right now. So moving on. I survived LineCon. LineCon MFF 2017. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't even get the worst of it. I stood in line for maybe 1 hour, and that's because the pre-reg line closed. So, they had to clear the space for afternoon dance class or something with the furries. And I'm just like, well, I still have my badge yet. And it's just like, well, you're going to have to wait a couple hours while we move all this equipment over to the other side. And I'm just like, fuck. So, yeah, I didn't even have anybody fun to talk to. I talked to somebody briefly before I decided to stand in line, but while I was actually standing in line, most of the people were just like, eh. And I'm just like, So that's how it went. And then when I finally got my badge, I looked down and I noticed that my name was printed very clearly on it. And I'm just like, why doesn't it say Tujo Panda? And it's like, well, you didn't specify Tujo Panda. I'm like, oh yeah, I did. I did on your website. And they acted all incredulous with me. And I had a doxing attempt against me, and I don't really feel like showcasing my like full name if I can help it. So they reprinted one off for me like later, but a lot of people gave me guff because I put a bunch of sticky notes on top of my name. So yeah, apparently I wasn't alone. A lot of other people, if they pre-regged, they had their names emblazoned on their badges, and for some reason they had a much more painless time than I did getting one reprinted. Yeah. Anyway, I just remember talking to somebody in front of Starbucks, and we were just sitting there, and then his eyes went all wide, and he's just like, "Oh my god, is that a fox over there?" Totally how he sounded. I looked over, and I'm just like, "Holy shit, it's an Arctic gray fox." There was a fox leashed like a dog next to somebody standing in line, and a small crowd formed around them. I assume, and I assume based on an article in National Geographic that I read a while back, that this was one of those domesticated Russian foxes that have been specially bred to be acclimated towards human interaction, but I couldn't exactly be sure. Um, I'll tell you what, I wanted to rush up and take a picture, possibly even lean down to pet it, but I didn't because, I don't know. I didn't want to stress the animal out, man. A lot of people told me that the fox freaked out later. Like there were videos taken of the fox just pacing madly, and supposedly there are videos of it doing more, but I don't doubt that. But from everyone's testimonies about this, it sounds very exaggerated. Like the most I saw the fox freaking out was its head darting left to right several times. So it was visibly uncomfortable. Like it didn't want to be around all of these people. And for a furry convention, can you really blame it? I mean, the impending yiff was probably on its mind, and it wanted to get out of there ASAP. Um, but yeah, I can't really say that I blame it. It's just, however irresponsible that this was for the animal's well being, I don't think everybody needed to spurg out about it on Twitter. As to the story, well, I never really talked to the guy personally about it, but supposedly this was being passed off as a service animal. A service animal to what exactly? I couldn't guess, apart from cuddles, maybe, but somebody definitely fucked up there. And Midwest FurFest, I love you, but I'm gonna give fairness and credit where credit is due, just to get it off my chest. Your response, more specifically, the response that you had, towards some people that were expressing concern for the animal's well-being, it bordered on inappropriate to downright dickish. I mean, according to an acquaintance of mine, she had the cops called on her when she wouldn't back down, quote unquote. Um, and like several people that came forward would either like just kind of brushed aside, or they were treated with scorn by MFF staff, and it's just like I don't know, like that's pretty extreme to have somebody escorted off the property by police. And she's not too bent out of shape about it. Um, she talked about it briefly. She said that the police were very professional and nice about it, but still, I mean, the fact that they were even called in the first place is pretty egregious. I mean, you know, like I said, Midwest Fest, I love you, but come on, like, what are you doing? And that's sort of a lead in towards my next topic of interest. Staff this year seemed a bit on the unprofessional side. Again, a lot of these people are volunteers, they're doing it as a love of passion. I can't fault them for that. But at the same time, have a bit of, just sense of what you're doing and, consistency, because, like, the Fox didn't really affect me any. But, PR is everything, like, to having a successful convention. And, you treating people like assholes, even if they are in the wrong, like, obviously there's different degrees to that, but even if they were, like, in the wrong, not saying that my acquaintance or the people that came forward expressing concern for the animal's well-being were, but even if they were being wrong, that response was completely unwarranted. And I might post some screen caps of what they told her. But yeah, I don't know. Twitter was kind of a shit show. I didn't spend too much time worrying about it because I had a convention to attend. But yeah, certainly made for a colorful round of commentary. People were already cracking jokes about what they're going to do for 2018. In fact, I saw anything ranging from a service snake, a service T Rex, some other things. Anyway, moving on. There's something else I wanted to mention. So let's take a moment to talk about this guy for a second. Just take a couple minutes. Maybe think it over. Does this remind you of anything? Does anything come to mind when you see this guy? And no, I'm not referring to what he's actually wearing. I'm not referring to what he is. I'm just saying the style, the look, the appearance. Anything out of the ordinary. Wait for it. Wait for it. Nyeh. Yup, same dude. His name is Magnus. I'm sure you'll all remember who he is. He's that guy from Anthrocon that everybody hates because he wore a Confederate fursuit and stomped around and didn't bother registering, so Kage yelled at him over Twitter. Yeah. He was here at this con. He's the so-called Nazi fur that everybody's been griping about. But, here's the thing. It shows to me that a lot of people are historically illiterate because what he's trying to personify right now with this outfit is him being Kaiser von Wilhelm or Otto von Bismarck, possibly. One of the two. The pickle hob, the cape, it all speaks of Germanic gentry of World War I Germany. But that's not important right now. What is important is that Magnus got into a bit of a, bit of a legal problem and a bit of an altercation. All right, so here's what happened. And I had the opportunity to hear from both sides of the story. So mostly hearsay from the Twitter crowd, hearsay from people that I knew, Magnus himself, and obviously the telephone game. So here's what happened. Now, I'm going to try to be as impartial about this as humanly possible. Again, I don't want to see a bunch of angry commentary saying that I'm some sort of Nazi sympathizer when I'm not. Magnus has a bit of a history of being what you would call a troll, okay? He is quite simply a provocateur. That fursuit of his is a extension of him being a provocateur. I'm assuming that. I don't actually know the guy. I've never met him. I never shook his hand. I've never, apart from 2 seconds that I managed to see him at Anthrocon when I took his picture. I'm just going to take it, up front that he's possibly just a decent person. Decent, very, very loosely. Under all that fluff. I think he's just doing this for attention. But again, maybe not. I've never gotten his modus operandi, so I don't know to what effect he's trying to, antagonize people. But, yeah. Apart from that wild tangent, he showed up to this con, and he was supposedly not allowed to be at this con. He was banned, according to MFF staff, that is. Now, here's the problem. According to Magnus, he never received prior notification about his being banned from the premises. And, some people were getting all technical about it on Twitter. Got a lot of armchair pseudo-intellectuals and pseudo-lawyers. Didn't hear Boozy Badger's commentary on this, but supposedly it's the responsibility of a hotel because the hotel's actually the host venue. They're just, hosting MFF. So MFF's the guest, but it's actually coming down to the hotel that has to give prior notice that, hey, you are banned from these premises. Now, this would corroborate my eyes-on observation. Like, for instance, the first time I ever went to BLFC, Ryan Hill was banned by the hotel, the Grand Sierra Madre. The Grand Sierra had preemptively banned Brian Hill because, he was making death threats. He was, spurging out on Facebook how he was going to make everybody pay. And, BLFC came forward, biggest little FurCon. They're just like, hey, this guy, Ryan Hill, he's kind of, being a rabble-rouser right now. Can you do something about that? And Grand Sierra is just like, okay, you banned. And I remember just him being Ray Lewis tackled by a bunch of casino security and escorted out. Um, but yeah, that would corroborate the whole idea that it's the host venue that has to sort of extend that sort of notification. And of course, Magnus could be lying. I don't know. But yeah, so what happened is basically, he's stomping around in his Kaiser Wilhelm outfit. He's possibly saying things to people that aren't exactly cordial, to say the least. And a bunch of staff like basically surround him, and they're just like, "Okay, bro, you are banned. You need to leave." And he supposedly was leaving of his own free will. Again, I don't know how true any of this is. This is all a story to me because I wasn't there to actually witness it. I was probably piss-ass drunk in a room somewhere. Going back to the story, he decides to run the barricade, blockade, whatever you want to call it. And so we've already established that there was, more than one staff member that was like, hey, you need to leave. He tried leaving of his own free will, supposedly. And supposedly staff, tried to block him in, presumably so that he could get arrested, because I guess they called the police on him. And Magnus doesn't look like a big dude. I highly doubt he could just linebacker his way through a crowd like that, But he basically manages to get through, and he gets to the streets. Here's where things get a little fuzzy, because, you see he's in fursuit, and then when you actually see the arrest picture, I'm assuming police threw a towel over his head to, block his identity so he's not, embarrassed. But they failed on that accord because we all know it was him. But yeah, so he's being arrested, put into a cop car, driven off. Twitter unanimously across at least half the furry fandom explodes in cheers. They're just going, yeah, Nazi first suck. Ooh, Magnus got arrested. And he gets out very quickly, so he couldn't have done anything that bad. Supposedly, and this is again hearsay, supposedly he yelled things like white power and, some other racist things. I don't know if he's actually a racist, but not outside the realm of possibilities. I mean, again, it's all believable. It could have happened. But here's the thing. If MFF staff tried to block him in and he was trying to leave of his own free will, he technically wasn't doing anything illegal apart from trespassing. But trespassing requires you to establish that this person is unwelcome here in writing. You can't just be like, hey, well, you're out. If you do that and they're trying to leave, then they're in the right because they're complying with, your demand. But again, I'm not a lawyer. I know some business law. I took it in college. Hey. But yeah, that would be false detainment, false imprisonment, something like that. And that's not good. Again, I don't want this to turn into an issue. Some people would escalate this very quickly, file suit. If Magnus were to do that, that would be very bad for MFF. That could be bad for MFF. And Magnus, if you're listening to this, stop being a butt, man. Come on. Quit being a butt. Moving on. So, me being a well-adjusted adult man-child that I am, I think I've seen quite a lot over the years, I'd pretty much, I wouldn't say I've seen it all, but I've seen a fair amount. Something I've known about MFF for a while now was the fact that sexual behavior and, the handsy, touchy-feely sort of thing, it's pretty endemic at MFF. I mean, pretty pervasive, It's not in your face necessarily, but it's definitely out in the open, and you can sort of just see it casually on the fly. Hell, I saw a guy washing off a dildo in the frickin' bathroom next to a registration line. So that was kind of cool one year. And I'm talking about the hotel registration. I'm not talking about con registration. But that was a while ago. Anyway, so yeah, a complaint came up about a lot of people sort of, kinky people. Maybe they didn't have access to a room at the time. And they decided to, just kind of, get up, rub a little bit inappropriately. Wasn't too often. I can count maybe 5 instances off the top of my head. but it caused some butthurt over Twitter. Again, you got some moral crusaders out there that are just like, oh man, we need to bring burn furs back. We need to stamp out the sexual deviancy of this fandom. And me, I take it as a sort of balanced approach, My personal 2 cents on the matter is if it's after dark and kids aren't around, why not? But here's the thing. It is kind of embarrassing and it is very, how you say, lewd. Like, this is sort of the reason why we're the butt end of jokes, in some cases quite literally, as far as, in the media and some various other communities sort of taking notice of us, namely 4chan, but knowing Goop's crap about what they have to say. But yeah, it's something to think about, Like, is this the kind of con that we want to be in? Does this kind of behavior depicted in these photos, could that be in the bedroom as opposed to in a out in the open area, how you say, in the hotel, like, lounge. Well, not lounge, more like lobby area. It's embarrassing, all right? I'm just going to put it out there. It's embarrassing, all right? So maybe we could sort of try to mitigate that. Me, I have a very hands-off sort of approach for those that want to engage in this sort of behavior. Maybe you can do it in your room, Like, some people are clearly not appreciative of seeing this. And I have to say, those rubber puppy masks that are so popular right now, they kind of creep me the hell out. Just being completely honest with you. Now, the horse ones, they're okay. I don't know why, but the dog masks, I don't know, they weird me the hell out. Anyway, one small thing I want to add to this is the fact that there was a discarded diaper in the stairwell and a butt plug. This is probably a joke. I highly doubt it was actually like just left behind by somebody, but you never know. Yeah, it just elicited some memories of Rainforest, and I would prefer that everything pertaining to Rainforest be left at Rainforest, Rainforest got shut down for a reason, and if you're into that sort of shit, fine, but, don't be fucking throwing diapers at cars or leaving them in public spaces, man. Come on now. Anyway. So I actually forgot to mention this. Something else caused a bit of a Twitter stir. There was the announcement that there was going to be all gender bathrooms in designated areas, and some people were expressing some concern. For instance, that acquaintance I told you about earlier. She expressed concern that she'd go in there and have to face off with a potential altercation with a sexual predator, because she's a bit on the smallish side. Her words, not mine. But yeah, it's something to remark. I mean, I figure while I'm talking about drama that's been happening, I might as well put these screenshots for everyone to look at. Yeah, I passed by that site like several times. I never went in, but I didn't see a problem with it. I do think it's kind of ridiculous that it's just like, well, gender neutral, all gender bathroom here. So yeah, I don't know. Call me old fashioned. I like male, female, and if there really needs to be a third bathroom, everyone else. But for me, I like it when they're clearly marked and not just all inclusive, Because, guys and girls' anatomy is a little bit different, and I prefer a urinal over just a toilet, unless it's a number 2. So, just my 2 cents on the matter. Moving on. So, one really cool thing that happened is I actually happened to run into Jason Effects, and in case you've been following up with the Amorous videos, he's the lead animator for the Amorous team. Yeah, that's right. I actually happened to follow him on FA, which is really, a direct result of me playing Amorous and getting to know who he is. So yeah, I was wandering the dealer's room, and I happened to recognize his fursuit when he posed for a photo. And I'm just like, hey, what's going on, man? And we happened to talk for a few minutes. Yeah, I mentioned how I was live streaming and video recording all the Amorous gameplay, and I really like the stuff. And then I asked him about Bareback Streets, and he just, he basically said that there was a lack of interest and a lack of developers at the time, so that's why they had to sort of pull the plug on that. But I remain hopeful that someday, we might see a full Bareback Streets game. It's kind of doubtful. I mean, you're putting a lot of time and effort into a game that's going to be a very niche audience. Like, how many furries are actually going to like put money towards Bareback Streets to play it? And as you all know, you can't exactly let the kids play that sort of thing. So, yeah. But yeah, a lot of good things, I guess, in the pipeline for Amorous, I would imagine. He's got pretty stacked plate, so I'm not sure when he's going to be going back to work on that. But you should check him out on FA sometime. He has some pretty good animation work, and plus his character is pretty cool. I really like the aesthetics of a lot of the animations that he's cranked out. And he's also got some sort of podcast going on called The Cuck Shack. So, give that a watch and give that a shot. Alright, so that was pretty much everything off the top of my head. We're pretty much going to move into the videos. And I'm just going to say right now, I'm sure if things happened to me directly, I'd feel much more compelled to gripe about things, and that'd be great for comedic value, but mostly, I don't really have a dog in the game, per se. Like, I'm just like, what the hell is that all about? That's my basic reaction, scrolling through Twitter, and it's been nothing but a source of keks, but at the same time, I'm just like, this is basically just needless vile that I can avoid altogether. So, I'm going to post some screen caps. I hope you all enjoy reading through the screen caps. If you want to, hit pause every 5 seconds to read through that, be my guest. I tried a rudimentary sort of form of editing the people's names out so that, no one feels self-conscious about what they said over social media, but I didn't see anything too weird or off the wall, so, no harm, no foul. We're going to move right into the videos. So, hope you enjoy. Yeah, how'd you know? 1 second, I gotta put up quartz footage. So I just wanted to take a slight detour. As you can see, this line is insanely long. By the way, I walked over here. It took me an hour walk, and this is what you have to look forward to when you get over here. This is a Friday afternoon, so there's really no excuse for this sort of thing. Like, they had all morning to straighten this out. I just wanted to take a walk through and showcase some of the fine people waiting in line and how long this line truly is. You got people on both sides. Line resumes here. I'm going to assume that you... Oh, okay. Not the end of the line.
Nice.
I actually don't even know where this line starts or where it ends. And that's pretty much all that's over here, is a very long-ass line, which I am not going to be waiting in. Yeah, to quote that guy, I've never seen this long-ass line before. In my history of con going, I have never seen it this long. Ugh, don't like that guy.
Right around that space.
So I actually stopped to ask that guy how long he'd been waiting in line for. He told me 2 hours. I said, fuck that. Well, we saw the back of the line. Let's see the front of the line, or towards the front of the line. Shoving my way past people as I go. Whoop. You know, I suddenly regret not grabbing a bottle of liquor on my way out. I would have needed it. And finished you will be if you go in there. Like I said before, I'm not waiting in that line. No, thank you. So I guess I'll just socialize and fraternize for a bit. Catch you guys later. What's going on? How long? Excuse me.
So we just.
8 p.m. until 4 a.m.
Oh, jeez. This line hasn't cut down at all. Thanks, pal. This is ridiculous. Two hours later, the line is still back to the wall. And after 2 hours, I had finally made it. The very end of the line. Oh, yeah, work it, girl. Sorry, I couldn't resist. So, this is actually a new addition. This is the convention center that's adjoined, but it's not quite... It's not a part of the main hotel, so it's kind of a partition off. For a couple years, it was undergoing renovations. Obviously, things have kind of changed. Supposedly, this is the way to the dealer's room, so that's where I'm heading.
It'll help me decide whether I want to.
Oh man, LineCon 2.0.
So where are we now? Yeah, it's this is easier actually. Sorry. I know that.
Pardon me. Oh wow, this is new. Sweet. Is this Parsar?
Yeah, that's us.
Okay.
That's
All right. I recognize the style.
Thank you. You guys calm and not like ramped up at all?
I mean, no, but like really special. Something like that. I would go out of my way to do. But I'm not buying like a TV. I'm not buying check.
I know, I'm just saying. What are you saying?
The hole that you blow in.
Oh, pardon me. No joke, that is my favorite game of all time. Like card game wise, like I do cosplays as Fallout, and I just keep it right like hitched to my belt. I just whip it out whenever we're in line, and I'm just like, hey, let's play some Room Party. My only complaint is that when the furry expansion came out, I thought there were going to be like more expansions, like a Trekkie expansion, like.
They're still planning on it. It's they got hung up for a while, but I do think that they are going to get moving on more expansions now.
So like, there's also like a game called Cards Against Humanity that I've been like excited about. So, you guys wouldn't happen to have it, would you?
No.
Okay. Thanks, anyways.
We played it. We're familiar with it.
Yeah, because like Cards Against Humanity, everybody plays it. I'm kind of bored of that, but for Humanity, that's where it's at. Anyway, good to see that this is on display. Catch you guys later. Crow man.
Okay, I'm just gonna look around. So.
And the sad part is, none of these fursuits fit me because I am too tall. Oh, pardon me. Oh, Kitsune of Foxes and Tails.
Ladies and gentlemen in the dealer's den, your attention please for just one moment. The dealer's den will be closing for business for Friday in approximately 1 hour. We will be closing at 7 p.m. Please begin concluding your business, winding down your transactions, and preparing to leave so that we can close the dealer's room as smoothly and efficiently as possible. Again, the dealer's room closes at 7 p.m. Thank you, and have a wonderful night.
Oh, sorry about that.
You're good, man.
How drunk are they?
Not enough, clearly. It's shot too soon.
Thanks for dancing with me, bro. You're good. Please, man. Woo! Woo! Yeah. Oh, totally.
I'm gonna put this on you.
Serious? They're pulling up ambulances again? Fucking A. This is like, this is like the 6th time this freaking whole con. No, wait. No, I think it's more like the 8th time. Fuck it. Okay, I better clear the way.
Ooh, nice suit.
Thanks, pal. But damn. Fucking A. I mean, I always knew there was sort of a drug problem, but damn. I wasn't expecting this. Obviously, I don't know. Typically speaking, like, there's always at least one time per con, but this is sort of like, for MFF, it's always something more like, I don't know, like 10 times. And I wasn't even here to witness most of them. Wonder who OD'd this time. Oh well, heading back inside. More about it on the 11 o'clock news. Hopefully not. What's going on? Oh, wow. You're acting all normal for a second, and then all of a sudden when you're on camera, you just wig out?
My name is Ren. I'm a traveler.
I don't think you're making a good impression for the camera, man. And here we have an enigmatic creature of the fandom. A Dutch angel dragon. One of the few species that are actually, how you say, exclusive. Other than the cheeseheads that seem to invade the fandom. I'm looking at you, Sergles. Sir, you're eating from a dog bowl. Isn't that demeaning?
Oh my god.
I think there's a panel I could be going to right about now. Ooh. Ooh. Sorry about that. gotta ditch before I can go in there.
What is it?
It's some random brew I picked up. I don't know. I was at a room party. I was like super drunk. I'm trying to get rid of this headache. So
You can drink it, but like, it's so cute.
it's so cute. You're over the age of 21, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure. All right.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, sure. Ooh. You both kicked off shoes.
Wrapped up! I've never bought liquor from Target before, but it was great.
I was like, wait. I did not leave.
It's me.
Where's my damn food? Oh,
Dad.
look at that. Oh, that's great. I love this food. This is the best food ever.
Good luck opening it. I don't even have a bottle opener for you.
I usually do, but not at the moment.
Oh, well, that sounds like a personal problem for him.
I love it. Thank you.
Well, I actually don't know what it is. It is alcoholic, but I don't know if it's going to be sweet, sour, like somewhere in between.
It's red wine cola.
It's red wine cola?
It's good. I don't know. It's pretty good.
That's what it looks like. It's got some sort of cat on it. Again, you don't like cats because you're a dog, but you know, yeah, okay. It's not empty anymore. Just gonna pour it in there. I'm not really Wolfgang. I'm not really Wolfgang Puck, but you know, my culinary delights have been very alcoholic. So, yeah, there you go.
Oh, fuck yeah. This is the best. I love this direction.
Yeah.
My best friend.
You want that thing? You want to keep it? Because
I don't know. Do you want?
I'm walking off a headache right now. I've had a little bit too much to drink, so.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, thanks, pal. I'm glad it worked out because now I can go into the dance. I'll catch up with you, dude.
Alright.
I'm gonna try to get some footage of the dance floor.
Bye, thank you.
Boy.
Just been busy. Living normal, you know.
Whoop.
Probably gonna do that to you now. All right, let's see if I can get in here. It is looking like Star Wars in there. I do not know if I'm going to be able to get in here.
Yeah, that's right. What's up? Take this suit, bro. Ready to Let me get some footage.